everyone, Nova here from Brighter Outlook Narcissistic Abuse Counselling Service with this week's live stream Narcissistic Abuse Recovery question and answer and support session. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. It's wonderful to be back and it's wonderful to have you all here. Okay, I've got David Demars joining us tonight, all the way from the United States. So I'll let David in very, very shortly, and I'm just going to look out for him here on my screen. But anyway, guys, while we're just waiting for David to join us, please say hi as you do every week. Now, for those of you who are new to this live stream Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Forum, hi, I'm Nova, and welcome. It's wonderful to have you here. So yeah, please just say hi, everyone. Say whereabouts in the world you're tuning in from, and don't forget to comment your questions below. I'm going to say sorry early on, as I do every week, for not answering everyone's questions, because it's just impossible to answer everyone's question, especially with the volume of questions we're getting every week. So what David and I are hoping is that you will see or hear the answer to your questions in someone else's. And if you don't get your question answered, it's just a great excuse to come back next week. Okay, now already we've got Jenny Zwemer is there from Brisbane, Australia. Hi Jenny, how you going? And we've got Adrian Egden is there from New Zealand. Welcome, Adrian. Okay, let me see who else is here tonight. I know I'm going to look out for David while I'm doing that. We've got Crystal Waters all the way from Perth in Western Australia. Okay, who else? We've got Shelley Alexander Hayes says, hi Nova. Hey Shelley. Someone commented last week, this is just like Romper Room where you seeing everyone's lovely faces there and saying hi. I don't know, for those of you who are outside of Australia, if you had that show, but it was a show that was around when I was very little, too many years ago to mention. And yeah, it is, I guess, it does remind me of that too. But I like to say hi anyway. Okay, who else have we got? We've got Ali Johnston is there. Hey Ali. We've got Heidi McClay is there. Hey Heidi. Okay, let me keep going. Where are you, David? We've got Mona Galeris is there all the way from Sweden. Hi Mona. And we've got Danielle Jones all the way from Alice Springs in the Northern Territory. Wonderful to have you here, Danielle. Okay, Tamara May is there from Brisbane. Hey Tamara. Don't forget to share, guys, especially while we're live streaming. I know David and I say this every week, but we want to raise awareness around narcissistic abuse. So yeah, I guess that's one way you can help us, is to share these live streams. Sharing is caring, and we want to get the word out. We want people to recognize that narcissistic abuse is destroying lives, the psychological and the emotional abuse, and a lot of the time physical abuse that you guys go through is horrendous, and there is just not enough understanding out there in the professional arena, let alone in the community. Yeah. Okay, I'm just looking out for David, can't see him yet. We've got Michelle Gammon is there. Hey, Michelle. Dona Chiji is there. Hey, Dona. And we've got my lovely daughter, Courtney, is there. And Courtney says, my beautiful little grandbaby, my grandson, Ashton, misses me. Oh, miss him too. Can't wait to see him. Okay. We've got Dimi Papadopoulos is there. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Dimi. How are you? And thank you for joining us. Okay, David, I'm not seeing you here. Where are you? Demi says, I'm from the Romper Room era. Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about, don't you, Demi? Yeah. We don't want to say how many years ago that was, because then we're kind of giving away our age. We've got Patricia Oman is there. Hi, Patricia. And Amy Larson is there. Hey, Amy. And Amy's from Geelong in Victoria. Okay, where are you, Dave? And there he is. Okay. And we've got Cheney is there. Hi, Che. All right, David, I'm going to try, see how we go. Oh, okay. Come on, Facebook, play ball tonight, please. Why isn't it letting me bring you in, David. Okay. Okay. Bring David on. Whenever Facebook updates, it changes the whole setup. So we just have to plod along. Hey, David.
Hi, Nova. Hello.
How you going?
Good. How you going?
I'm good. I'm very well. Now,
Good.
David, we're all watching and waiting with bated breath. What's it like over there?
Over here in the States?
Yeah, I think you know what I'm talking about. The election. Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah. I try not to watch that.
Yeah, gosh.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess, here in Australia, we're just like the rest of the world, just waiting and watching with bated breath to see what happens. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it seems
I
like the whole
guess,
world. Seems like the whole world's watching to see what happens here.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely we are. So yeah, I guess everyone will know in a day or so, won't we? But anyway, I hope everyone over there in the United States is keeping safe as you possibly can, and yeah, I hope you're being safe too, David. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I am. Thank you. Hmm.
yeah. Okay, David, what are we going to talk about tonight?
Yeah, we're going to talk about why we stay in abusive relationships with our abusers, narcissists, borderline,
Yeah,
sociopaths, psychopaths. Why do we stay? Yeah, that's the
great
topic
topic.
that we chose tonight. Um, Sometimes these relationships go on for years. We have signs in the beginning, a lot of us, and sometimes we forgot, but we take people back to the beginning and they realize and remember that, yeah, there were signs that this person was unhealthy or toxic, that their past relationships were bad and unhealthy. So this one might be too, and we get feelings that they are, and people might warn us, and all these different red flags that we get. And but why do we stay? And so that's what I wanted to talk about uh, tonight, because to better understand all this is that's what healing is. So let's understand why we stayed. I've come up with several different reasons why I believe that we stay, and some of you guys may not like them. It's kind of I know that in my own journey that some of these were hard to face. That some of these truths and realities were hard for me to face and took me some time to accept it. But the sooner that
Yeah,
I accepted it, the sooner I changed it. Yeah.
yeah. I guess it takes a lot of self-reflection to realize sometimes, why we stay, as well as being empowered with knowledge, because it's sometimes we just don't know what's happening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think most of us don't. I think most of us tend to look for answers, uh, in the aftermath, in the ashes. You know, yeah. Sadly, we the end of the road. We feel so horrible that we finally look for answers. But during the relationship, we don't want to look. We don't want to know the truth. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go through some reasons why we stay in these abusive relationships.
Sure, I've come up with several, but I think I came up with like this the model. I call it the false hope model, and emotional neglect. And this is another thing that's hard to point out to people in the beginning. That and I it's just an opinion of mine too. So I'll just say that. But if we're in neglectful relationships and abusive relationships in our adulthood, I truly believe this stems from childhood. I believe that the only reason we did is because we had neglectful and abusive childhoods in our family. Um, Not getting our emotional needs met as children is what emotional neglect is. And you could call it not enough love. I'm not going to tell anybody that their parents didn't love them. I'm going to say that they didn't show them enough love. They didn't give them enough attention, not unconditional love in a lot of cases. This causes a big void. This causes a big void. And narcissists, sociopaths, borderlines, anybody that abuses people also has a void. They were neglected and not enough love. And when we meet, the two of us meet, we fill this void instead of loving ourselves and learning exactly what that means, because our parents may not have loved us enough, we fill each other's void. And this filling the void raises our four happy hormones, our serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, endorphins. These rise in both of us, and it's intense. It's amazing. And we immediately may start going into the future faking, talking about, what life is going to be like forever for us, right? We're going to be together forever, and we hold on to this hope big time. And this can cause emotional dependency. The rise and fall of our hormones is what we become dependent on, the same as vice, sex and gambling, work, drugs, alcohol. It's the same thing. We become dependent on this rise and fall of these hormones. And so I think that's just kind of the model. And then we hold on to this hope, right, guys? I mean, especially when the relationship is really falling apart at the end, maybe they're not talking to you, they're ghosting you, maybe they're silent treatment, maybe they're dating someone else. And we hold on to this hope of, hey, do you remember that feeling? Do you remember what we talked about? I thought this was going to be forever. And then we find out that it's not. So some of the major reasons I came up with why we stay is, for one, this is familiar. There's the familiarity about it that we all need to find, right? And I think typically Freudian psychology, we might be dating someone similar to one of our parents. Freud says we date our opposite gender parent, but in cases of trauma, abuse, then that's the parent we might find out and date. Low self-worth, right? A red flag, hey, watch out, this is not okay, this is unsafe, this person's nothing like you, raises red flags. And when we ignore them, that's our self-worth. It's a measure of our self-worth. Think of it as always asking us if our life is worth more, if our life is more important than what we're doing or where we are or who we're with. And if we stay with a narcissist long enough, an abuser long enough, we are answering, no, my life is not worth more than this. We lose support. Toxic relationships, just like other addictions, we lose support. We might lose the friends that we have. We stop having intimate moments with them. We may not have very supportive family. This is some of the reasons we got into this. And so when we're doing really bad and we're really confused and lost and scared, we may not have family to turn to support us to leave these relationships. I'm sure all of you had moments where you said, I have to end this. This has to end now. And we didn't. And then being on high alert all the time, the fighting, the stress, right? The triangulation and bringing up other people in your relationship, the constant threatening the security of your relationship. Go ahead.
The drama. Yeah.
Yeah.
That becomes normal.
Yeah, this keeps us on high alert. And when we're on high alert, we're releasing lots and lots of chemicals that really help keep us alive, but it's not going to help us in relationships, especially prolonged exposure to these chemicals. In the end, it causes depression, major depression. It's extremely difficult. Go ahead.
Yeah, it also, as you said, like with regard to dependency, like any drug, when we start taking that drug, we're after that hit, we're after that, that major high. But after a while, we simply need that drug to feel normal. So, eventually, like let's just say a heroin addict will get a major high from the drug. After a while, the tolerance kicks in, I guess, and they need that drug just to get through the day, just to stave off the withdrawal symptoms. And this is exactly the same.
That's right. In any addiction, you have a high and you have a low. And over a prolonged time, the highs and the lows get lower and lower and lower and lower. So the high doesn't feel any good. Just like a lot of you guys, if you've been involved with these people for a certain amount of time, a specific long period of time, and now you're apart now, most of you, if you go back to your abuser, your brain is saying, I want to go back to my abuser. I want that abuser back. And if you go back, I promise you, it will never be the way that your brain thinks it will be. Never. It'll
Our
be
brain,
worse.
our brains, yeah, our brains is, I guess, tricking us. Someone, I can't see who, but someone has just mentioned cognitive dissonance, and I guess this is, I guess, a coping mechanism, if you will, to be able to cope with the abuse, make the abuse not as bad as it is. But it's also that coping mechanism, I guess, is a way of tricking ourselves. You know, we make the abuse into something that it's not, so we can tolerate it, so it doesn't hurt us as much, because of our tolerance for the abuse and the addiction, we can't get out, nor do we want to get out a lot of the time. So we have to come up with all these ways to be able to survive. And as one lovely person said, cognitive dissonance is one of those strategies.
Yeah, that was my next one, cognitive dissonance. Yeah. We lie to ourselves. Just like any other addiction, we protect it, right? So we stop telling people the bad parts. We don't want our friends to know how bad it really is, or especially our family maybe. And so we don't talk about the bad parts. And that helps us ignore it, store it away, not recall it. And we talk about the good parts. I get that all the time. My clients will tell me, we start off with all the awful bad things that they've been going through, and then they immediately back it up with, well, but they're also sweet and nice and loving and fun, and I love them, I think, and they love me, I think, and so we
Yeah,
do that. We're protecting that dependency. We're protecting that addiction, big time.
yeah,
Cognitive dissonance. Yeah. So,
yeah.
and then the biggest one in a relationship with narcissists specifically. If you're going to have a relationship with a narcissist, you better check yourself at the door. Leave it. You can't have yourself. You can have your body, you can have your mind, but you cannot have your internal self involved in a relationship. You just can't. You can't have, it doesn't matter what you want in that relationship. Soon enough, we stop asking. It doesn't matter what you need. And we didn't get what we need growing up, probably. And so we're not going to get what we need in this relationship with them. That's for sure. Um, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you value in life and things like this. And so we lose a sense of who we are in these relationships. We compromise who we are. And that makes it extremely difficult to make any decision, let alone a major decision like this, to leave. Yeah.
Yeah. We become enmeshed with this person. We become reliant on the narcissist for our self-worth, because our boundaries are eroded. Our boundaries are managed down so slowly that we don't realize that it's happening until, like the frog in the boiling water, we can't get out, because our self-worth is reliant on them. Our self-esteem is just so incredibly low, and the fear kicks in. How can I survive without this person? How am I going to be able to cope without them in my life? I am so dependent upon them.
Yeah, right. I mean, they're the ones that'll knock you all the way down, and then they might be the one that helps pick you back up again, right?
Yeah,
We become dependent on this, having to tell them every single thing that's going on with us, how we feel, wanting their opinion, these things, and we just get, it's like any habit too, right? These become habitual. The never having alone time, talking every day, every night, text messages, always checking your phone for them. These are all things that make you addicted. Yeah.
yeah. After a while, David, this dependency that is set up, aka the trauma bonding that is set up and manufactured by the narcissist, this kind of evolves into, I guess, practical reasons why we stay with the narcissist, in that history. We're with them so long that we've got our finances tangled up with them. We've got children with them, and of course, all of these different things keep us bound in that relationship, because especially if you've got children, to leave and think of being able to manage on your own is extremely scary. And often, well, not often, most of the time, the narcissist will make sure that they have controlled those situations, so that if you leave, it is going to be under the most horrific circumstances. And as many of you know here tonight, they will drag you through family law court, which is clearly a system that is flawed, simply to use that as an extension of the domestic abuse, the domestic violence, and to keep you in that relationship. So these
That's
practical
right.
reasons keep many victims stuck.
Yeah, that's right. They isolate you. I mean, they're going to they're going to not approve. They're going to not like. They're going to hate. They're not accept you having specific people in your life. You know, I don't like care for your friends. I don't like your friends. I don't trust your friends. If they can't get your family out of the picture, then they form a pact with your family, right? They go behind your back and they talk to your family and they tell them everything you guys talk about. They might project onto your family what they do to you. They would say you do it. They raise this doubt with your family that you're the problem, that you're the one that might be hitting them or cheating on them or lying to them, or just not cooperating, or just not helping in this relationship, not trying hard enough. What's wrong with them? Get the family to believe there's something wrong with you. Do this gaslighting so that you think that you're crazy. You think that you're the narcissist. You think that you know, more and more convincing your brain that you are dependent on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess the push pull, you know, the I want you, I don't want you, setting up a situation in the beginning, you know, with the love bombing, where you become so I guess reliant on those, you know, those happy hormones, the oxytocin, and you become reliant on having those dopamine receptors hit, that the narcissist can come along and pull that carpet from underneath you, and you will be scrambling to get back to that illusionary pink cloud, that love bombing era, because it feels so bad when they withdraw the drug. I actually did, David, a Q&A on Instagram last week relating to sex with the narcissist, and how the narcissist uses sex as a weapon and also a way of making, number one, you think it's your fault, so that you will stay and you will acquiesce and you will do what they want. And at the same time, when it's not going the narcissist's way, they're able to flip it and to make it be your fault, and to get you to do things that are degrading, that you just do not want to do, simply because the thought of being without your drug, needing to please them all the time, because if you don't please them, conflict, the threat of punishment, the threat of them leaving you, is just too much to bear. So yeah, it's just something we don't talk about a lot. And I think, yeah, it's definitely a subject that needs to be explored more.
Yeah, definitely. I think you know, these are exploitative people, and they are exploiting your vulnerabilities by positive and negative reinforcement to rise and fall these hormones. It's almost like they know they're doing it, right? They will, you know, they want sex all the time. I hear this number quite often, 3 times a day. You know, that's
Yeah,
normal, they think. Yeah.
and and you've got to, and you're put on a schedule. You know,
Hmm.
it's got to be at this time, at this time of day. If you're not doing it when we're supposed to be, you're failing in your duties.
That's right. That's right. And that's going to make it just, that's going to make the relationship more just about sex, because we're not making love. This is sex. This is sex. And they know, it's like they know that we need to keep doing this until we become addicted. You know, the text messages all day. So you check your phone all day long. It's the same thing as Facebook. Facebook gives you notifications and this and that. So you keep checking your phone. They're trying to get you addicted to Facebook. And it's the same thing as abusers. They'll do the same thing. No privacy, no autonomy, all day long. What are you doing? Tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me. Yeah.
Yeah. David, another one that I was thinking about today, another huge reason that we stay in these toxic narcissistic relationships is the fact that we think we can fix them, and I guess this is the nature of why they choose you, because you're an empath. There's that toxic dance that the narcissist and the empath do, where the narcissist takes all the time, and the empath wants to give and to fix and to heal. So the narcissist and the empath come together, and you stay. Don't forget, the narcissist is playing the victim. I've had a hard life. My last partner cheated on me. They're a crazy, jealous ex. And here you are as the empath, continually thinking that they're going to change, and you can do something to change them and to fix what's wrong with them, assuming that the narcissist wants to be fixed and can be fixed.
Yeah, we found somebody with much more problems than we have, right? Much more. And that's human nature. We tend to focus on other people and stuff like this. But it's an identification. I think we identify with people that have been neglected or abused. We're not that far away from them and how they grew up. I think they've had more neglect, and we all react differently. Our brains all react differently to this stuff. So I think there's a certain part of us that identify with other people who are suffering, hurting inside, stuff like this. I know that my own experience is I've always felt really sorry for people that are hurting and suffering, to the point where I can't cut off my emotions from theirs. It's like, but until I healed myself, until I'm not suffering anymore years ago, and I realized that anybody else can do this, I don't feel that sorry for people all the time. And it's just a healthier approach. But I think there's a real identify that we identify with them in somewhat being neglected and abused in our childhood, possibly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that kind of feeds into the guilt, that the fog that every victim of narcissistic abuse is in. FOG being that acronym, FOG, fear, obligation, guilt. We feel guilty if we do something for ourselves. We feel guilty if we have a need. If we're made to feel guilty if something special happens in our life. And as we know, the narcissist will sabotage that event, whether it's a sad event like, one of our loved ones, our parent dying, or something, like a job promotion happening for us. Anything that has anything to do with us is sabotaged by the narcissist, because then it becomes about us. So we are conditioned to feel guilty all the time. And what happens here is that to be assertive and put a boundary in place and say, hey, I need my needs met too, feels very, very selfish. So what do? We keep trying to please the narcissist, because with the conditioning, we actually do feel selfish.
Yeah, I was going to say that's perfect conditioning. We've got selfish, and then we have selfless, and that's the relationship. We have a taker and we have an unconditional giver. We have two people that may have never truly experienced unconditional love, and so we unconditionally love our partner in hopes that we are loved in return. But they want unconditional attention, don't they?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about why victims stay in the relationship with the narcissist, with regards to the fact that they don't even know what they're experiencing is abuse. Because we hear this all the time when victims come out. And, it's not till they have that light bulb moment, or, they start Googling their partner's behavior, and they come up with that word narcissist. they often don't even know that they're being abused, and that what they're going through is abusive.
Yeah, and that's that's what I was talking about earlier, the familiarity, right? We learn what love is from our parents. We learn what a healthy, loving, growing, functioning relationship is, the marriage is, by our parents. Our parents, if they're fighting, if they're abusive to each other, if they're abusive to us, if they're neglectful to us, that is familiar. That's a big, big reason why we stay. And a lot of us, most of us, we have this, feeling that marriage is forever, right? Marriage is forever, and we're supposed to work this out, and we don't leave our partner no matter what, just because they have problems, just because they're sick or unhealthy, they've been abused, things like this, right? We forgive, right? I can even use religion, turn the other cheek, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
We use these are models that we grew up with,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And with all of these different reasons, David, throw in the strategies that the narcissist uses, and probably the biggest strategy that the narcissist pulls from their arsenal of weapons is gaslighting. So our reality is distorted. We are in a constant state of confusion. We are told that what we are thinking, what we are seeing, what we are hearing is not actually what is happening. So we second guess what's going on, and then throw in the cognitive dissonance to be able to cope with that gaslighting. We rationalize, and we explain away, we minimize the abuse, and this gaslighting just keeps us in a constant state of confusion. And I guess that confused mind, a confused mind is a conquered mind.
Yeah, that's right. How many times do people come to you, victims of narcissistic abuse, and they want to know, am I a narcissist? Because the narcissist has projected all the bad qualities about themselves onto you. And if they can get you to even just doubt yourself, they win. I'm okay. I can finally accept myself. I've given you all the bad parts of me. It's you, it's not me. And these people walk away from these relationships believing that it is them, that they're the ones that did this, that caused this, that forced the person to cheat on them. Right? You
Yeah,
made me do it. Yeah.
yeah. Uh, we talk about, the cycle of domestic violence. Well, I guess this is what every victim of narcissistic abuse goes through with regard to being hoovered back. So often we hear, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you just get out when you realized there was something wrong going on? But the situation that has been set up, where you are reliant on these chemical processes, means that when the narcissist discards you, or you're finally able to break away, they are so easily able to hoover you back in, which a lot of people might be more familiar with the term the honeymoon phase, where they become that person they were in the beginning. They bring you flowers, and they love bomb you in that honeymoon phase. And why do we go back? We don't go back because there's something wrong with us, or we're weak, or we're stupid. We go back because of all of these different strategies that the narcissist incorporates to get us addicted and become dependent on them. And none of these reasons have anything to do with something being deficit in the victim. That's victim blaming.
Well, and that's, shame and guilt follows all traumatic abusive relationships, doesn't it? And even just failed relationships, we can have that depression. But the shame and guilt can be enough to keep you in. They
Yeah,
convince you there's something wrong with you, it's your fault. And then after maybe years of abuse, it's really hard. It's really hard to admit it and tell somebody, hey, I put up with this for this long. But
yeah. And let's not forget the lack of support. I mean, look at how many services there are out there for victims of narcissistic abuse. The support is just so minimal, so nearly non-existent. And as we know, victims of domestic violence, male or female, when they leave, numerous times, and they're hoovered back into that cycle, the support becomes even less, because people don't recognize the trauma bonding and what is actually going on, and they blame the victim by saying, why didn't you just get out? So the support becomes even less. Family, the people who love us the most, they kind of a lot of the time throw their hands up, because victims keep going back to their abuser, because the victim doesn't have the knowledge, the tools to leave. Sometimes they're being ridiculed. They're not getting any help from police, from the community, from the loved ones, who a lot of the time have thrown their hands up in the air. So it's just easier to stay than to leave.
Absolutely. We have here we are involved in a relationship with somebody extremely neglectful, extremely abusive, and so typically so are other people in our life. They may not just be the best of friends. They may not really have your back and be supportive. And we come from families with issues, with problems, so this is our support group. Family that may have already neglected us our whole life already, friends that may not be the best of friends, selfish, right? Just like the type of people we're dating typically will be the type of people we also have in our life.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, David. Well, we might start answering a few questions. Let me see who else is here tonight. We've got Carol Rita Azo is there. Hey, Carol. Let me do. Okay, Rebecca Kopp is there. Hi, Rebecca. Rebecca says we need to rewire our brains. Absolutely, we do, and I guess that's what happens, isn't it? With the strategies, that the trauma bonding, we are conditioned to accept, without even knowing it, certain behaviors, because our boundaries have been eroded, and all those neural pathways, they've been changed, and all these abuses become normalized, and we become familiar with them, and we need lots and lots of support to rewire our brains, and to realize that this actually is abuse, and that we don't deserve it. Absolutely, Rebecca.
Yeah, totally. I call it a reset. We have a architecture in our brain. It's formed by our experiences. That's why we all have totally different brains. We've all had different experiences, and the conditioning really is the framework of our brain and how it works. And we need to reset this, so we don't have those same conditional responses, feelings. It's extremely difficult. But yeah, I call it a reset. Yeah.
Okay, we've got Alicia Gonzalez is there. Hi, Alicia. Alicia says, is the narcissist able to change? David, what's your opinion on
They can change their underwear.
that?
Yeah, personality disorder. These are ways to just help describe, to help the patient and the doctor, right, to understand what's going on here. And the biggest, if I had one word to describe personality disorders in general, rigidity. Rigid. They don't bend, they don't break, they don't change, they don't move, they don't care. It's this right here all the time. You expect something different, never happens. Never.
Yeah.
And you wait 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, same BS, same crap, same thing. Their lives are unmanageable. They're so sorry, or they blame you. Yeah. Rigidity, rigid. Don't change.
Yeah.
That's
A consistent behavioral traits over a long period of time. As you said, rigidity. This is who they are. This is their personality. It would be, to think that they can change would be that you could change your personality. This is who you are. This is who they are. They have no empathy. They have no remorse. They are dependent on hurting others to boost their ego. This is what they do. This is who they are. And I guess the biggest question to ask yourself is, why would anyone change who does not believe that they have a problem? The narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, is probably the only personality disorder in the DSM where the actual person with the disorder doesn't think there's anything wrong with themselves. So they go through life, hey, what's I don't have a problem. It's you that's got the problem. I'm fine. But with NPD, it's everyone around them who is affected by their disorder, and that's what makes it so different from any other disorder.
Yeah,
So
lacking
yeah,
awareness and can't control behaviors. Yeah.
yeah. So no, they don't change. They won't change. Why would they? They don't think that they have a problem. I think this wish that they will change, that they could change, is really tied up in thinking that, you know, in that, number one, that trauma bond, in the fact that you are an empath, and you think that if you just try hard enough, you know, that there'll be something you can do to help them. But they don't want help because they don't think that there's anything wrong.
Yeah, I'm not, I hope anybody on this planet can somewhat better themselves in some way. I don't want to take it all away from them, but typically, yeah, narcissists don't change. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you see small changes, guys, these changes, as you know, number one, are insincere. Number two, are very, very short lived because they are who they are. They will change to hook you back in. And once they know you're hooked back in, they will revert back to their baseline behavior, which is who they are. So any change you do see is what keeps you going back and keeps you hoping and wishing in that, with that magical thinking.
Yeah, and in the beginning of these relationships, everybody, um, try to understand how easy it is. Narcissists have a lot of shame. They hate themselves. They have lots of different fears of inadequacy and commitment and maybe abandonment, all these things. But when you meet someone at first, your hormones kick in, you feel so good, you're not committed, you're not invested, and so a lot of this stuff just doesn't play out yet. It takes time. It takes time. The personality disorder really, really presents itself, really surfaces in interpersonal relationships, the closest ones. And as you attach more and more attach, then they start to cause problems. So everyone says, oh, they're really good in the beginning. They're just faking it and all this stuff. Well, a lot of it is just hormonal, and the fears haven't kicked in because you guys aren't totally committed. Maybe not, they aren't invested because they may not invest much. So and what they do is they put you on that pedestal, and they literally are showing you what they want in return. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make you feel good. Okay, this is how it looks. This is how it feels. Okay, and now your turn. And now they come do it to me. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then you're
mate.
like, what happened? What changed? They made me
Yeah,
feel so amazing. They said I was so great and perfect, and now they stopped. So am I not anymore? Am I not?
yeah,
Is it somebody else? Is someone else great and
yeah,
perfect now? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And why do they stop? Why do they stop treating us? Because we're human. We have a normal range of emotions. We have normal reactions to when we're being abused and we're confronted with confusing, conflicting behavior. So what happens when we react, which is when the narcissist becomes who they really are, because they relax within the relationship because they know you're hooked. What happens? We we show that we are human. We show that we have flaws. And the second we react to their abuse and go, hang on a minute, I don't like being treated like that, that's it. That's it. That's the end of the love bombing, because we have just shown them that we are flawed. We are not going to be reflecting back to them like Narcissus did in Greek mythology when he was staring at himself in the water, and the water, you know, the image was reflecting, you know, back his own amazing reflection that he fell in love with. We're not going to be doing that anymore when we show that we are human. And that is the end of that illusionary love bombing stage. Uh, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we all have, you know, that's why we take a long time in relationships, uh, people, and slowly fall in love with them. And the more that we love somebody for who they are, the more attractive they become. But with the narcissist, that, you know, the more physically or the more emotionally attracted we are to somebody, the more physically we become attracted to them. But the narcissist will not emotionally connect with people. They don't
They
value it. They've
can't.
never done it. So
Yeah.
they're not going to emotionally connect with you. They're not going to see you as a human being. They're exploitative and they objectify you. You're an object. And so
Yeah.
here we are seeking this emotional connection, but we may not have had it very much growing up. Our parents may not have emotionally connected with us. So
Yeah.
we don't really, not totally sure. And it's, here we go, familiar again. This person that we're with isn't emotionally connecting with me, maybe like my father and my mother did not. But I want it and I want it and I want it. And we might be fooled and think that this is an emotional connection. I think that's a very important element in this
Yeah.
relationship, that they
We
will not connect with you.
absolutely, and we need to stress that, because that's what victims cling on to it, isn't it? That the way they were treated in the beginning and the breadcrumbs that they're thrown out throughout the relationship to, you know, keep them coming back. We need to realize that the narcissist cannot emotionally connect. So everything you're feeling is based on an illusion. The narcissist objectifies us. We are an object to them, but they sure as hell make it feel real. And this is why it's so uh, addictive and powerful, is connection.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting all the love that we didn't get enough of growing up, getting it all at once, at the one moment, one time. Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So when we're kicked off that pedestal, when we show that we're human, we go into withdrawal. We have withdrawal symptoms. We want to get back to feeling amazing because that was the best time in our lives. How often do we hear from people, our clients, David, when they say, I don't know if I'll ever be able to have another relationship where there was that chemistry, that where I felt that amazing. And I guess what we need to stress is that the intensity that you feel in the beginning is based on toxicity, not on love and compassion and respect. And as you said earlier, those qualities take time to come out in a relationship.
That's right. It takes time to get to know people. We are just too multifaceted, too much. Look at how long you guys have known your abusers, and you're just now really getting to know who they are, probably. Maybe after many, many years, maybe even after decades. You're finally getting to know who you were married to, who you were living with, who you were dating for the first time after years.
Yeah. Okay. Says all the time, even when you're not together, they are always doing the same controlling stuff. It sucks when you have to co-parent with them. David?
Oh, it's horrible, horrible to cope, because you're not. They're not. They're not emotional adults. You just have another child. If you have two children, you have three children, right? And here you have somebody who doesn't care to emotionally connect, even with their own children, their own spouse, right? And they care about the titles. They care about the identity. They don't care about who they are. They care about what they are, what they look like. So father and husband, or mother and wife, are the biggest titles in society, aren't they? And so that's what they care about. And it may be confusing. It may seem like they actually care about being a parent, a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we really need to reiterate, what's the word? Reiterate that you can't co-parent with a narcissist. And the reason you will never be able to co-parent is because they have a different agenda. Excuse me. Your frame of reference is to do what's best for your children, and to want to come together with that other parent and discuss the children's needs, and come to some kind of agreement around what is best for the child. Whereas the narcissist comes from the frame of reference of what is best for me.
That's right.
And that's all that will ever happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you have to, guys, you have to learn to parallel parent with the narcissistic ex and go grey rock, minimal contact as much as you can. You can't expect to ask the narcissist to have your needs met, the child's needs met, and have a healthy response that's based on what's best for the children. Get a third party involved, as in a lawyer. Get those orders where the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, where there's no flexibility for the narcissist to twist and contort anything to suit their own needs. Children into counselling, but do not try to have a discussion. You will be as successful in having a discussion with the narcissist around the children's needs once you separate as when you were with them, but probably even less chance, because now they're wanting to punish you for thinking that you can get on with it. Don't forget, you've got their property. You've got the children. That's the narcissist's property. And they will come back and claim a stake on that property when it's convenient for them.
Yeah, and they're exploitative. And what other thing to exploit to gain control and manipulate somebody than their children?
Yeah, the most important thing in someone's life. The narcissist can do that. Why can they do that? Because the children are not the most important thing to them. Their ego is.
Yeah, right. And you're vulnerable. Makes you vulnerable to exploit that big time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Who else have we got? We've got Jasenka Ograzovic is there. Hi, Jasenka says, the courts don't see narcissistic abuse as something to be taken seriously, hence the children suffer. Absolutely, Jasenka. The courts do, in my opinion, do not recognise narcissistic abuse at all. And you guys will know this. You have to work out your own strategies and find a lawyer who is very, very experienced with narcissistic abuse to try and weave this gauntlet, because the narcissist is going to be in there putting on their, the best front. They'll come across as being the most amazing parent. They would have instigated a smear campaign against you. And the normal, appropriate parent who has been abused by the narcissist is often punished by the family court for the residual effects of the domestic violence that's perpetrated by the narcissist. So it's just this crazy system where we need to have so much recognition and so much more research, because you'll be sitting there often in family law court and you'll be frustrated and confused and agitated, just like any normal victim will be behaving. It's not a person who has been traumatized and abused by someone will not sit there cool, calm, and collected, accusing the other parent of being this crazy person who has got, let me think about it, bipolar, I don't know, what else do we hear, David? Just all these disorders that the narcissist up with and diagnoses their ex with. They'll be, throwing these diagnoses out to their partner, who will be acting in a normal fashion as an abused victim, while the narcissist often, it has more sympathy from the court because they're not acting erratically. how does this even work?
Yeah, I was just going to say, good luck trying to get sympathy or empathy from a
Yeah,
courtroom. Yeah.
yeah, unbelievable. Okay. Who else have we got? I can't. I can't see who asked it. I can't see the name. So sorry, whoever it was that said this. But David, someone just asked if we can talk about reactive abuse, and I think it's a really great topic to talk about.
Yeah, we made a whole video about it once, reactionary abuse. Yeah. Um, you know, it's a sensitive subject actually for a lot of victims. And we walk away already from these relationships with shame and guilt. And we're the only one willing to introspect, to self-examine. And so we walk away believing, we can't forget some of the bad things that we've done back. But reactionary abuse, it's when our reaction to being abused is abusing back. We may stop being so innocent for so long, trying to keep and uphold our own moral value and trying to keep respecting our abuser and being nice to our abuser and taking it and trying to be patient that they'll understand and never do it again. So, but over time, all these reasons that we talked about why we don't leave is biggest feelings associated with abuse and neglect, especially in childhood, is hopelessness and helplessness, not knowing what to do, not seeing any other options or doors, not having support to leave, all these things, and we blow up, we lose it. It's just anybody that can't communicate how they feel long enough in a bad, stressful situation. If we don't stop it when it happens, we stop it after we explode, right? And so reactionary abuse, and it's not excusable, but these are things we have to work through and work out through therapy, talk therapy, and start forgiving ourselves, right, for reaction. And really, and that really gets it the lines blurred on fault, right? Whose fault it is, and we believe it's just easier to accept that it's our fault in the end, especially
Yeah,
if we hurt them back in any way. Yeah.
yeah. Uh, we also need to, I guess, talk about the fact that reactive abuse in let's talk about it in the context of uh, we as victims reacting in an abnormal fashion, or sorry, in a normal fashion to abnormal abuse. And what I mean by that is we are reacting to intentional provoking and baiting. So when we act in this way, where we might get to that point where we're so frustrated that we start doing what they do, we might be swearing and screaming and yelling at them, and I don't know, throwing a plate or two on the ground or two. We are reacting in exactly the way that the narcissist wanted us to react, so that they can go, see, you're the crazy one. And what happens here? This creates this cycle where we react in a way that is not normal to us. We're embarrassed. We reflect on that behavior. The narcissist is telling us we're the crazy ones. It's all your fault. You wanted to start drama. All you want to do is argue all the time. And yet, the underlying motivation from the narcissist was to get us to get to that point. So we are behaving on cue. The difference between us and the narcissist is that, as you said, we have the ability for introspection to reflect on our behavior, and we look back and we go, oh my goodness, am I the narcissist? I was behaving just as badly. And this will often keep us in the cycle of abuse, because we think it's our fault, or it's 50-50, that it takes two to tango, and I'll fix myself, and then, and things will get better.
Yeah, I think this is a real peek into our childhood. Again, because here we have emotionally dangerous situations, and we respond the way we did as children because our parents teach us what to do when we are in emotionally dangerous situations. And we are presented with these a lot in our own childhood, big time. And how our parents handle it is typically how we handle it. So instead of fight or flight, that's the normal response to danger. And this could be even physical danger, physical abuse. But in childhood, I think, we can't run out the door at 5 months old. We can't even walk. At 5 years old, we can't run out our door. We can't make anything stop that hurts, that's scary. And we can't fight our parents and argue and stuff like this. So they came up with, right? They came up with freeze and fawn. That's been our emotional response to emotional danger. But how long can that work for? So eventually we freeze and fawn, but eventually we're going to fight or flight. And we've come up with tons of reasons why we don't leave, why we feel like we can't leave, like there's no other options and doors. And we start trying to fight back. We start trying to fight back eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We've got Eleni Bolt there. Hi, Eleni. Eleni says they can't self-reflect. Yeah, they do not have that ability to reflect on their behavior. To be able to reflect on your behavior, the narcissist would have to reflect on that true self. That true self is who they spend their entire lifetime trying to mask with the false self that is superior, grandiose, omnipotent, better than everyone else, and to be able to reflect to have introspection would be to pull up all those demons and address them. The narcissist will never do that. They are buried basically forever. The only time you'll see that true self is when you're being abused or they're projecting it back onto you and
Yeah, they
attacking it.
can. Yeah, they can't accept themselves. They hate themselves. Too much shame. And that's why they don't apologize. That's why everything's your fault. They can't accept that. The slightest little thing that something's wrong with them is a peek into how much they hate themselves, how much of a bad person they believe they are, truly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why you will see the narcissistic rage, whether that's overt or covert, as in like a passive aggressive attack on you. That's because you've had a peek at the true self you may have without even knowing them. They've just perceived criticism in some way, which means you are telling them that amazing false mask, that mask that they wear, that false self is not real.
Yeah, the more that you get to know who they are is the more that you're holding up a mirror for them to see who they are. And they don't like that. They don't want it. They can't look at themselves. They want to accept themselves. So the more
Yeah.
familiar you become with them and who they are, the more they'll hate you.
Yeah. Or the closer it is to you getting discarded because that you just do not have the ability to give them any more narcissistic supply because you have seen who they are and you cannot reflect back to them anymore that they are perfect.
That's right. Right. Right.
Okay. Okay, we've got Jennifer Aiken Cox is there. Jennifer says, how can we control the fear that they put in us? David?
The fear they put in us, the fear
Yeah, how
of
can we
what?
control that fear? I guess Jennifer's perhaps talking about that fear, obligation, and guilt that keeps us stuck.
Well, I mean, we need help. We need support. Anything that we have troubles with, and all of this, the cognitive dissonance, it's just not being very clear on the truth and what's going on, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So that's where help comes. Therapy, talking, bouncing things off our friends and family, where we're lacking typically in support. I think that's the biggest problem, right? You're
yeah.
all alone in
Getting,
this.
yeah, absolutely, and getting away from the source of our fear. So often we will remain in some kind of contact with the narcissist. thinking that we're in control, thinking that we have the power uh, when we don't. This, for example, we might keep them unblocked on our phone, and we might think, oh, I'm in control now because I'm looking at them ringing and I'm not answering their phone calls. So, the power, I have all the power and the control. But what you don't realize is that addiction, which you probably aren't even really cognizant of at that time, means that the next day when the narcissist hasn't called you, you'll be scrambling, looking at your phone. Why haven't they called? Why haven't they called? Because your brain has been hooked back into those, that chemical process again, because you saw the narcissist call. So we think we're in control when we have, but if we have any kind of contact with our drug, the drug remains in our system. So I guess to conquer our fears, we have to empower ourselves with knowledge, get lots of support, as David said, but we also have to get away from the source of the fear. And that's not a
Yeah.
weakness to remove yourself. That's a logical step.
Well, that's the fear. Like any addiction, go and talk to, if you've ever had one, or if you haven't, go talk to someone who has about their addiction. And it's frightening. It can be frightening. It's fearful. It's scary. I've become so dependent on this. I can't imagine a life without it. Scary. Yeah.
Yeah. Oops. Nearly lost you, David. Okay. What's we got here? We've got Megan Rebecca is there. Hi, Megan. Megan says, do they eventually reach an age when they are older and just keep one girl or guy, I guess, forever rather than discarding? David?
Yes and no. They don't all do anything, all do the same
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think old age takes a toll on people who really value appearance, for one. That's just one thing I've noticed. Aging women, female narcissists will tend to give up the game, or there's no more game, right? I can't attract men anymore. Same with, I guess, men too, right? So, for somebody who values appearance and status, we lose those things as we get older. All humans do, right? So, yeah, I think that, we have hormones that calm down as we get older. Things like this, we slow down. Typically, young people or as we get older, we don't chase other people, and we may not have to have that, same reinforcement and meeting new people and all this. I don't know, but eventually, yeah, some do, some don't. I think that's the easy answer. Yeah.
Yeah. And, a lot of the time, as you said, with age, with the narcissist, they've lost their ability to secure narcissistic supply. They've burnt so many people, they've abused so many people that they can't garner that narcissistic supply. They lose their looks, they lose their ability to manipulate, they get bitter because all those dreams they had of being this most amazing person, successful, that everyone was just worshipping, that never happened. And of course it's someone else's fault that it never happened. Yes, often, we hear all the time where victims are with their abuser 20, 30 years. This doesn't, just because they weren't officially discarded, does not mean that that relationship is not the most horrific, abusive relationship there is. It just means that person cannot escape. The narcissist is continuing to love bomb, abuse, keeping them stuck, and that person's self-esteem is just non-existent. So do these relationships, if you could call it that, last? Yes and no. Yeah, it just depends on the narcissist's needs. Certainly, it does not depend on the victim's needs.
And I hope nobody out there has hope that their current boyfriend or girlfriend will eventually stop cheating on them in old age as they get older. So I'll just tough it out and I'll wait for them to be done cheating on me eventually. I
Yeah.
hope nobody, is holding on to that much hope. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like what we hear a lot. And I think it's another way when victims aren't healed yet and they're still self-blaming, where they say to me things like, well, they discarded me after 6 months, but they've been with that new target for like 2 years now, so what's so special about that person? And I was discarded after 6 months. And I guess what I say to that is, uh, number one, you're lucky that you've escaped that relationship and you have the ability to get out. There's nothing good about that relationship just because it's been sustained for 2 years, or if it goes on for 10 or 15 years. It's totally dependent on that narcissist needs at that particular time and what that target is giving back to the narcissist. It's certainly not because that person is any better than you are.
Yeah, maybe we just complained and that person's not complaining about the abuse, about the neglect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
maybe they didn't catch them cheating. You caught them cheating. They haven't caught them cheating. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe
What are the reasons?
you're stronger, and the narcissist is like, this is just too much work. This victim's too strong. I'm not going to try and hoover this one back. Whatever happens, it's got nothing to do with that new target being better, because they have stayed in the official relationship with the narcissist.
A better victim. A better victim. How's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's even a personality disorder for someone who's such a good victim. They must be victimized all the time. Dependent personality disorder, right? So there are people that are just more dependent, better victims, don't complain, completely selfless, have no self. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we've got Lee Michelle there. Hi, Lee. Lee says, hi, Nova, can you please answer why my ex-narc feels the need to come to my workplace when he has to pass 3 to get to mine? Okay, well, that's easy, Lee. The reason he does that is to place himself back inside your head. He doesn't want you forgetting about him. He wants you to remember him, whether that's because it's a fleeting thought, whether that's because you feel physically sick when you see his car. These are all forms of vicarious narcissistic supply, whether it's because it will make you remember them, and perhaps they want you back in the intimate side of the relationship, or to scare you, to intimidate you, to ruin your day, to ruin your week, so that the fear that you experienced in that relationship, you relive over and over again, because he just will not go away. Stalking, essentially. And you know what? If he's doing that, my opinion is that is stalking. If he's driving past your place of work, will you be able to prove it? I don't know. What do you think, David?
Well, I mean, they base their value on appearance and status, and that they have to be more important. They have to be important. That's what matters. So the relationship is over. You're not making them feel important anymore. They really place who they are and their value in everybody else's hands. That's ego. I am what you see, and so they don't take care of themselves. They don't soothe themselves and say, hey, it's right, I'm better than this. No, they want you to make them feel important. They literally want people envious of them, right? They
Hmm.
want people to chase them. They want people to argue and fight over them. As long as
Exactly.
I'm very important. Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps another scenario is that he wants you to start talking about him. He wants you to say to everyone in the chemist, oh, my ex was driving past again. Your name is on his name is on your lips. That's a great form of an ego boost to the narcissist. You're talking about him, and perhaps you will go and try and get some kind of accountability. Perhaps getting a restraining order, and the narcissist will be 2 or 3 steps ahead of you to go, oh, the only reason I was doing that this day was because I don't know, there was a roadblock here or for whatever reason. But if he is driving past your work, it's because he has a reason that it is, and it's not because it's just the most convenient route. It's to get at you and to boost his own ego.
Yeah, make you want him again or her, make you want them again without approaching you, without being vulnerable, without contacting you and saying, hey, how's it going, when you could hurt them. So they aren't going to be vulnerable. Maybe they want to drive by your house to make you, get in your head again and start contacting him. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he just wants you to call him right then and there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be many different reasons, but it's probably not the one you think, that they love you.
Yeah. Okay, who else we got? Might just answer a couple more, David, before we wrap it up for the night. We got Susie O'Callaghan there. Hi, Susie. And we got Jess Rankin there. Hi, Jess. We've got Dean Shaw is there. Hi, Dean. Dean says, wore the blame fault for everything. Self-doubt is still heavy to carry. Yeah, that self-doubt is conditioned in you, isn't it, David? And it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. I guess from a man's perspective, it can often a lot of the time be even more debilitating with regard to societal expectations and the fact that men do find it more difficult to get empathy and sympathy from people because of how we are conditioned in society that men don't talk about their feelings and that you're a wuss, if you're being psychologically abused by your wife or your partner. The fact that you find it so hard to talk about because you're frowned upon, you're even ridiculed, can make that self-doubt sometimes even worse for a man.
Yeah, I've seen women in comment sections on their own YouTube channels say things like, oh, can you believe that he claims that I abused him? Little old me, I'm a female, he's a man, how could I possibly abuse him? Oh, it happens. Trust me, it happens. And self-doubt is a major product of child neglect. So you guys have a lot of self-doubt in your adulthood. I promise you, this stems from childhood neglect. Childhood neglect is so psychologically damaging. We don't even know it happened. We may not even be aware of it at all, but we may suffer from it forever with self-doubt. It makes us susceptible to suggestions. We will take on their projections. They'll blame us, and we think we're the narcissist. Things like this. Yeah.
Yeah. We've got Nanta Buzzy Annette there. And Nanta Buzzy says their greatest fear is exposure. Absolutely. Yeah. Why do they abuse you? Because you've seen. Why do they punish you? Because you've seen behind the mask. You've had a glimpse at that true self. And you have to be silenced. Because you can expose them. You can expose that true self. And that is probably the greatest fear of every narcissist.
Yeah, anybody that hates people hates themselves. Anybody that hurts and abuses people hates themselves. Narcissist is the shame. They're the shame, the person full of shame. They hate themselves. Big time, that's why. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, we might answer one more question. Okay. Who we got? Sorry, David. Okay, Dean Shaw says, last one for the night, guys. How do they appear completely oblivious to the damage the silent treatment and stonewalling does? Okay, well,
to start with, Dean, they are not completely oblivious at all, but they want you to think that they are, because how confusing is that for you? They're not talking, and you are in absolute pain. We know how traumatic getting the silent treatment is. And they just seem to go on with their life. They're snoring beside you. They're sleeping like a baby, or whatever they're doing, and it just doesn't seem to affect them, which suggests they're oblivious to the pain that it causes you. They are absolutely 100% aware of the pain that it causes you, and that's why they do it. They come back like nothing's happened, because they know that the pain they have inflicted upon you during that silent treatment is so bad that a lot of time you are not going to question them. You don't want to go back to the original subject that caused them to give you the silent treatment in the first place, because you are just so relieved that you're not experiencing the physical, the mental side of getting the silent treatment. You're relieved, so you often let them come back as if nothing's happened, and they rely on this. And what does it do next time you want to confront them about some kind of and have some kind of discussion with them about their behavior? You think twice about that, because you remember the silent treatment, how painful it was. So it teaches you not to try and make them accountable for their behavior. So they are conditioning you. They are inflicting a major traumatic wound upon you. And they're teaching you not to try and make them accountable ever again. But are they aware? Absolutely, they're aware.
Yeah, empathy, the ability, right, to know how somebody feels. I think that we get that we get that confused a lot. And I think there's even sociopaths out there that have some empathy. They know that they're hurting you, and they've been hurt that way. They understand that. I think what's important to realize is that your partners, your lovers, your loved ones, these people, they don't have sympathy. They don't care. They don't care. Big difference. And these are developmental disorders. One thing that really helps us understand them is to understand that they're still children. They never finish developing into emotional adults. So, there was times in all of your lives, where you didn't care when you hurt somebody, right? You're a little tiny kid and you kicked someone in the shins and they cried and you didn't care. You stole a toy from your friend or something, and it didn't make you feel that bad, right? And we eventually finish developing into adults with empathy and sympathy and compassion and love, and they did not. There are human beings that never develop empathy or don't develop empathy until they're adults, literally. I use this example a lot, and I think it's really helpful to a lot of people. But a lot of you out there may have known someone in your high school years, your teenage years you went to school with, that was a bully, that was mean, that hurt people. They exhibited no empathy towards others, sympathy. And you see them later in college or your 20s, and they look like and seem like very good people, and they really care about people. That's a thing. That's definitely that can happen. So what happened is that's childhood development, and it can continue into your 20s. Okay, so some people never develop sympathy and empathy until their 20s. And so narcissists never finish developing, and so they never develop these. Just like at one point when we didn't care about, we couldn't understand, or we didn't care when other people were hurting maybe that much. It didn't affect us as much as it does now.
Yeah. And they're aware, because you're telling them. You'll be crying, you'll be distraught, you'll be distressed, your life will be in shambles. They can see you're telling them, you are hurting me. But the fact is they don't care. And also they justify it. You deserved it. You did something. Whether they perceived some kind of criticism from you or whatever it is, you deserved that pain and that trauma that you're going through. So do they know? They absolutely know they're hurting you. And they not, the reason you know this is because they don't do it to everyone. They can flip their abuse on and off like a switch. If someone who they were trying to impress said, hey, perhaps someone at work that they were trying to impress, or in the community, someone that wasn't, in a very close relationship with them. If someone like that said, hey, you're hurting me, the narcissist trying to save face, manage their reputation, would go, oh my goodness, let me rectify that behavior, let me remedy this situation, just simply trying to save face. But the narcissist is not going to intentionally wound, intentionally inflict pain upon someone that they're not wanting to punish. So they can switch that abuse, the silent treatment, on and off like a switch, and that's what they will do.
That's right. On both sides here, all of us in our lifetime has hurt someone else, and we did that because we weren't aware of how bad we were hurting them. But we do afterwards, right? We apologize and we feel bad. Now, one way a narcissist knows how bad you're hurting and what they've done to you is that time where you're so broken, you're so in pain, you're so down and so desperate, and you're begging, please stop hurting me, and they give you that smile. It's like mission accomplished. I broke you down. Yeah.
The smirk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with nothing behind the eyes. It's scary.
The months or years of abuse finally took its toll and finally broke you down. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So rest assured, Dean, they're not oblivious. They know exactly what they're doing, and they can switch it on and off like a tap. Someone who has no control over their actions would do it all the time. The narcissist controls their actions. They are very intentional. Yeah. Okay, David, well, we might leave it there for tonight. Thank you once again for joining us. David, do you want to tell everyone about your YouTube channel? Please subscribe, everyone, to David's YouTube channel for lots and lots of amazing advice.
Thank you very much. My name is David DeMars. My channel is called DeMars Coaching. And please, everybody that follows me and watches my videos, please go support Nova. I'm going to put links down below in the video. And all you have to do is follow that link, click subscribe or vote, like down, things like this. Support what we're doing. We put a lot of effort and work and time and energy into this. Thank you very much. And thank you for inviting me always, Nova. I really love doing this.
Love having you here, David. So, guys, David joins me here to co-host the show every second week. So David will be back in 2 weeks to co-host the Q&A. So, I will see you in 2 weeks, and no doubt I'll be talking to you in the meantime. Thank you so much, David.
Great. Thank you, Nova. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Wanted to say thank you to you for joining us here tonight. Thank you for helping to spread awareness. I hope you were able to get some support from tonight, and also to give support to others who mightn't be quite so far along in their healing journey. If any of you are after that one-on-one little bit of extra support, I am a professional counsellor here in Brisbane. My area of expertise is in working with victims of narcissistic abuse. So please just inbox me here. And I will get back to you most of the time via email, which I will give to you in the inbox message. And I would love to be able to support you on that healing journey. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. I Skype people all over the world, and certainly all over Australia by Skype and telephone. Thank you for joining myself and David. Have an amazing week. Remember your worth, and then add tax. Bye, everyone.